to continue the board member series. Today, I get the opportunity to chat with Miss Sonja Tucci. Miss Sonja, will you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I started driving back in 1994. Um, it was just a way for me to just go out and do something I wanted to do different. I was born in California, grew up in Oregon, got to travel quite a bit because my dad was in the military. And then I married into the military, so I got to see a lot of the world and then just kept it going when I started driving truck.
Oh, awesome.
And
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
um, and to the children, I have cats and animals. If there's any animal around, that's probably how I'm gonna die. Here, kitty, kitty.
Oh, no, that's awesome. We like animals. And they're better than children. Well, no, they're not. Children are amazing little people. We love them.
Yeah.
We like animals better. Animals don't talk.
Well, it's not old, but they do. They do.
They do in their own way.
Yes.
So you said you always wanted to kind of like, I guess you have wanderlust, so you can't be stuck in one place. Um, Tell me about growing up. What kind of gave you outside of being a military child? So was it 100% shaped by being part of the military family where you're everywhere, or did it come from something else?
I think it came from something else because I don't like to be stuck in one spot very long.
Okay.
I like to keep going and moving and seeing new things, experiencing different lifestyles, different areas. And the only way I can do that is if I get out and go.
Understood. So when you were a little kid growing up, were you attracted to the trucks? Like, woo, big trucks, really fascinated, or
Actually, no.
really?
I really didn't pay much attention to them, but we'd have family vacations back before internet, cell phones. And I remember
Yes.
8 years old getting a map out and routing our whole trip. Didn't even think about truck driving.
Oh,
And I knew how
wow.
long it was going to take us. Now, if we eat at this restaurant for an hour, we could be at this. And I didn't even really think about trucks. I wasn't one of those kids that blow your horn or anything. I was just like, there they are. Okay.
Oh, wow. See, I was that little kid. Like, I'm like, pull the horn, pull the horn, please. And I love them, but I don't do anything involving trucks other than have a heavy appreciation for them. So you've been driving since the 90s.
Yes.
And even then there weren't as many women in the industry as there are now and as there will be in the future. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your experiences as being a woman in the industry?
Sure. One of the big things was showers. We'd go into truck stops, and all the showers are like and open like the old school gyms, and they were on the men's bathroom, and they'd always go, "I'm sorry, we don't have women's showers." I said, "I just filled up. I have the right to." Some places, I'm like, "You need to close off the men's bathroom. I need a shower," and some of them just flat said no. And then you get the typical, "Oh, you should be home barefoot, pregnant. You shouldn't be in a truck." Or I go to a shipper and receiver, check in, they go, "Well, have your husband back it into a certain dock." Or they would come out and go, "Are you sure you can do that?" And then the all-time classic, "Did you drive that big old truck here all by yourself?" And one time I said, "No, I pushed it," just because I always have to have that little sarcastic bit. Um, Also, shippers and receivers, they'd have men's restrooms, not for women. A lot of grocery warehouses back in the day, they just ignore you, even at truck stops. They'd like wait on the men and you'd be standing there and stuff. I just kind of like, "Excuse me, I was here next." And then you go into drivers only areas to eat because, they used to have that. And they go, "Are you a driver?" And I'd say, "Did you ask all the men in here if they were drivers?" "Well, no." I go, "That guy's in a suit." And I said, "If you don't ask all of them, don't ask me." So yeah, I was a little more ornery back when I was younger. Because, you'd be tired and then you're getting questioned. Or security would think you were working the lot when you'd walk from your truck into the truck stop. And they'd come up there with the little scooter things and question you. And it's like, please, people, I'm just here to do my job.
That does not sound like fun working conditions. So from the 90s to today, have you seen a lot of improvement, a little improvement? What's changed?
Um, Showers. They've got their own individual showers. Um, Not so many of the men are doing the you should be home barefoot and pregnant. You go to shippers or receivers, it's not a big deal. They're used to seeing women now. I don't get that. Plus, my job, they're usually glad to see it. So we don't usually have that problem. Um, I think the overall attitude towards women drivers is getting better. You're always going to have your few that don't want us out here. We're taking a man's job away and everything. But overall, I've seen a big improvement over from the 90s. It's not so primitive as I should. That's a good word to put it, primitive.
Yeah, that's an excellent word. And I think I'm going to start using that. We're going to talk about the primitive days of trucking, not to age or date anyone, and kind of where we are now, where we've sort of moved forward. So can you tell me about like what kind of freight you haul, or are you not allowed or uncomfortable disclosing that?
Oh, yeah, I can tell. I haul liquid food products, and we go all over the United States and Canada. Our company is one of the biggest bulk food grade haulers in the United States. We have smooth bore, so we don't have the baffles in there, so we got the slosh all the time. We haul like all different types of corn syrup. When I first started, when you said corn syrup, I thought the little Caro syrup that you get in the store, I thought that was it. I did not realize how many different types of corn syrup there is. And then we haul the citric acid, which sounds bad, but that's stuff we drink in sodas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
really?
like molasses. And then they use citric acid also in insulation. We call it bad citric. And we haul molasses. And I didn't realize they even use corn syrup and pesticides that attracts the bugs so they get to the poison.
Because you kill more bugs with honey than you do with vinegar.
Exactly. They use stuff in fertilizer. Corn syrup is just everywhere. I mean, it's amazing that I didn't even realize.
Wow, that's okay. You taught me several things I did not know, and now I'm gonna be like checking labels and have to go look up the scientific name for corn syrup, because I know that on the label it doesn't, like if it was fertilizer or pesticide, I know it doesn't just say like corn syrup.
It would say like multidextrin, dextrose, high fructose corn syrup, sucrose type stuff. So I mean, it's just all kind of different names that you weren't expecting, and I didn't even expect it.
Oh wow, that's really exciting. So you've been a truck driver. We talked a little bit about your experiences as a driver. What was your training like?
I did go to JB Hunt driving school. My uncle was teaching me how to drive a truck, but he got in a car wreck and ended up getting a blind spot in his eye. So he goes, "You're gonna have to go to school. Go to JB Hunt. You've been there. It'll be, they'll hire you after that. Anybody." The actual school training was good. The first female trainer I had, it was a disaster. This woman didn't take a bath for 7 days. All she did was scream at me. Her husband was a heroin addict. We need to drive. I didn't back for over a week because she was in such a hurry. We didn't have Jake brakes back then. We got going over like Donner and stuff. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to bed. Don't you smoke my brakes." So I'm trying to grab my school stuff, trying to read it. I finally gave up, got on the CB, and told them I was a student. My trainer's in bed and won't help me. And a couple drivers took me off to another channel and got me down the mountain. And I finally got off her. It was so bad that I got off her truck in a Chicago rail yard and hitched a ride with another driver back to my terminal because she was threatening me and everything else. Well, at the time, if you were married, JB Hunt wouldn't put you with a male trainer. And I said, I don't care. I can't go back with her. I mean, it was just disaster. So, oh, another thing she did, her bed was so nasty. I slept up in the top bunk with a netting on, which was against the law, but it was like, ew, better than that. I jumped down, get it. She picked up hitchhikers with a trainee. And then this was really, can I say something gross? Am I allowed?
Why would you pick up hitchhikers?
I don't know, but she did it 3 times. She had a coffee can, for emergencies. Okay. But she would throw it out the window. We were going down the road and hit the whole side of the cab over. That's how bad she was. So when I got off her truck, they finally put me with a male trainer. And I was the first one that was married that they let do this. And he goes, well, when we get in the truck, when it's time for you to get up and get dressed, I'll go over on an off ramp or in a truck stop, and I'll get out of the truck while you change. And I said, it's got curtains, right? Yeah. As you open it, I'll just kick you in the face. And he's like, we're going to get along great. So if it wasn't for him, I would have never made it in the trucking industry, because he just took over because I didn't learn anything in the almost 2 weeks I was with her on the truck. And she threatened it. And if I didn't do exactly what she wanted, she'd leave me. I'll leave you at the truck stop. I don't care where we are. So, yeah. So I've had good and bad. But if it wasn't for Joe Meza, he's passed away now, I wouldn't be sitting here now. And I thought being with another woman, that would have been a good combination, but sometimes it just wasn't. She just wanted the money. And that's what I don't like about some of the trainers. They're just in it for the money.
Right.
So that was my experience.
So now, how did her husband being a heroin addict come into play? Was he also on the truck?
Oh God, no. He would spend all her money.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a family problem. That is not a you problem. That's the way I approach those things. Like, that's a you problem, not a me or a we. So I don't know what to tell you. It sucks to be like, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I don't know what to tell you. I'm so sorry that you're going through this, and I empathize with you. But what?
Yeah. And then we get from the West Coast, back when I was growing up, we didn't have toll roads. Turnpike. She goes, get on the Oklahoma Turnpike. And I'm just like, what is this? What is this? And I finally pulled my map up, saw the thing. She goes, we're going to stop in Tulsa at my storage unit, and we're going to fill the top bunk with all my stuff from storage. Then when we get back to Dallas, we'll unload the truck. I'm like, so here comes Tulsa. Sonja just kept driving until I hit Big Cabin, right? That woman, I've never seen a woman so mad in my life. She was out there cussing me out there at Big Cabin to the truck stop. Oh, called me every name in the book, but I didn't get her storage stuff. Yeah. So that's what my first couple weeks of training was like.
My goodness. So as you were in this experience, because it's so interesting that you have had, because you're the first person that I've spoken to that had a poor training experience with a woman, and a poor training experience based on everything that this woman had going on. No. Yeah, the first person that had like those circumstances. So it's really interesting to hear that, considering the solution to some of the problems, some of the larger problems that others have experienced. The idea is we'll just give everybody same-sex trainers and that'll fix the problem. But it sounds like they need to do you think maybe there needs to be a better job of like matching trainees with trainers? Like,
yes, that's what we do here where I work. Me and another trainer, we go through their applications. We talk to them on the phone before they even come here, and then we decide who's a better fit. And then we have this other trainer. He's not really a trainer. He can't take students, but he can do experienced drivers. So if they're a little, how do I put it, rough around the edges maybe, we'll put them with him because he's good about that. And we try that here where I work at Food Liner. to see, you know, what's going to be best.
And so have you noticed a difference for you guys as far as retention rate in the fact that you do that, or completion rate, not retention? But do you feel like you see more of your students completing their driver training because they've been matched with someone, like that you guys have gone the extra effort of, let's see, do we even fit together?
Yes, I think so. Also, me and the other trainer here, let's say I can't get through to somebody on how to do a certain aspect, we'll switch for a couple days and he'll go with him. And if his trainee, there isn't something that is not working right, we switch for a little bit back and forth. Or we sit down and have a meeting. And we have a meeting once a week with our training supervisor, our terminal manager, to go over if the trainee has any problems. If we have any problems, we work through that once a week when they're on what they call ELDT and stuff. So we try to work together, communicate.
Okay, so can you tell me, so I'm not part of the industry, so I learned, like I said, I learned from you guys, and I want, especially for people watching in the audience, what exactly is ELD?
That's for ones that go to like truck driving school that has no prior experience. They go to truck driving school, and I bring them out here. We bring them out on the road, sharpen up their shifting, make sure they're doing turns right, paperwork, how to load, unload. Basically, it's going from like junior high to high school or high school to college. We do the finishing touches to get them ready to go out in the world on their own. And another thing, we have 5-week training program for trainees. If at the end of the 5 weeks we don't feel they're ready, or they don't feel they're ready, we extend their training. Same with experienced drivers, because tanker is a little bit different than dry van or reefer, because we have so many different ways to unload. And even at the week or 2 week with experienced, if the trainers don't feel comfortable or the trainee, we extend theirs too. So where there is not, okay, you're done with the training, you're on your own. We work with them no matter if it takes a month or 2 months, it's whatever that person needs, if we see potential that they're actually learning and trying. Some people learn at a different pace. It's not cookie cutter.
So it sounds like you guys have come up with this model that works. And now that I understand ELD, so is ELD a Band-Aid, or is it something that trucking schools can opt to do if they want to?
All the trucking schools usually take people that need either retraining or they don't know anything about trucks. Now, we also have a program that we help them pay. They have to go to truck driver school, but we have a couple schools that we deal with. We can send them 2 weeks just tanker classes. And then they come out, because a lot of people can't shift with the surge, and a lot of people won't even drive tanker because they get nervous and everything. So every case is different, and we look at everyone, what can we do for them type program.
Okay, that's really interesting, because it's a stark contrast to what I hear a lot of the training is like. It's like you get in, either you sink or you swim, we don't really care. You know, and it sounds like you guys are taking the extra effort to ensure that not only are you meeting the needs of the student, but you're putting out drivers who are going to be safer on the roadways for the rest of us. So I think that's really awesome. We're going to switch over away from training, and we're going to talk about real women in trucking, because that's why you're here. So tell me, how did you get aligned with Real Women in Trucking?
Well, when I first started, they had, not first started, but they used to have magazines, Women in Trucking. Right, I was all excited, you know, so I'd get the magazine, mostly ads. Then it started team. Then they started doing more of the men type thing. So I just quit. Then they got Facebook and all that stuff. Well, I disagreed with some of those people that were on there, and they kicked me out of the group because I got blocked on Facebook. So I just kind of fell into them on the internet, and I liked what they had to say. And then they had the truck shows, and I started going down there and got introduced to them, and That's basically how I did it because I got kicked out of the other group. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate that, go ahead.
If you have an opinion, sometimes they don't like it.
But everybody should be able to have, just from the world of adulthood, the world of work, and the world of trying to move forward. If everybody can't have an opinion and everybody can't offer input, you are missing out on so much potential, so many opportunities for improvement. I'm not going to talk about that other group that you
Yeah.
may have belonged to, only to say that just in general, if the idea is, so here are facts. You guys need better parking. You need safer parking. You need better working conditions. You guys need more, there needs to be like a lot of truth in recruiting. There's a lot of things in the industry that need to change because they're not working for everybody. And if we're silencing voices, then that's just saying that the way things are is okay. And it's not.
No, I believe that, like, even with my trainees, I can learn from them. There might be something that I don't know.
Right.
And it's like, if you don't open your mind, you can't grow.
Absolutely. So you fell into Real Women in Trucking. What makes you stay?
Because they're consistent in their beliefs. They're not influenced by anybody else's opinion or, hey, I got some money here. Can you do it my way? They don't. They stick to their guns. It's like this way, this way, this way. And no, that's not right just because you want it to be. Desiree bends over backwards for drivers, and everybody does, the whole board of directors. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that's usually quiet and don't say too much. I know I need to do more, but that's what I like is their consistency. They stick with their beliefs and nothing. There's a bump in the road. They find a way to go around it, over it, or under it, just blow it out of the water. Get out of my way. We're going to go for our goal, and we stick with it.
Absolutely. I think that's a woman thing that I really like is if you get us together, there's nothing we can't do because there's always going to be, and this is just what I've noticed as an outsider coming into your group. It seems like there's always someone there. There's a plethora of ideas that can be shared, which we've already talked about, how having these multiple voices and these multiple ideas kind of helps move and forward things. But I also see that you guys are holding the door open for others. One of the most consistent things I hear as I've been speaking to you board members is, hey, if you got questions, ask me. And I have to take a moment and just commend you all. And you, since you happen to be sitting here with me, that you take the time out to do that. Because it's so important given everything that women are facing. They're lowering the driving age. So there's going to be a surge of women coming into trucking. And the juxtaposition is there's the glamorous women in trucking kind of deal. And then there's the reality of women in trucking. And there's no one is greater than the other. They're both fine. But I just think that kind of having a balance of that and having an understanding and people to go to. So if you are a glamorous person in trucking, maybe you need to have a resource that you can pull from. If you could offer any advice to women truckers or new lady truckers or new truckers in general who don't gender identify or might be male, what advice do you have for them?
Be patient. Trucking is just like the weather. Stick around, it's going to change. One day you can get 4 or 5 different loads that fall apart. That's the main thing is be patient. Listen to what people have to tell you, but only get it from good sources, not just some Joe Blow in a truck stop. Try to remember this isn't Smoking a Bandit. This is, it's not romanticized. It's a hard job. You're going to get dirty. You're going to have bad days where you just want to go back in that bunk, close the thing, and cry. You got to take the good with the bad, but look at the big picture, not just the bad day you're having right now. It's got to be the overall.
I love all of that advice, and some of that actually translates over into just like everyday life and what we go through as humans. So I really appreciate you uplifting that. So I like to kind of lighten the mood, because Real Women in Trucking, which by the way, guys, you can find Real Women in Trucking online, on social media at Real Women in Trucking across all social media platforms. And then www.realwomenintrucking.org, for anyone that has questions, needs advice, needs guidance. All of the ladies that I've spoken to have offered themselves up. Sonja, I'm sorry if I'm accidentally offering you up,
No, that's
but
fine.
I'm
That's fine.
sure that you don't mind helping. We're going to switch over because I like to get to know the driver.
Okay.
I like to have fun, lighthearted conversation because you guys really love what you do. So, can you tell me what is the most unique load that you've ever hauled?
I don't know. I did general commodity. I think, well, I don't know. Maybe the leather for the seats for BMW.
Oh,
Yeah, that was kind of unique because
okay.
I used to pull reefer, and that was the thing was I do all the vegetables. Don't send me to a slaughterhouse
Mm-hmm.
because I get all upset and I want to save all the animals. I'll still eat them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that kind of person, but if I'm there, I'm like, come on, let's go. Right, right.
Right.
It was at a slaughterhouse I had to pick up, but I had 3 pallets and they were stretched over these like sawhorse things, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like they said $500,000 load.
Really?
Yeah,
That's kind of exciting. I'm always fascinated how different brands ship their things. I would not have guessed that for BMW. I would have assumed they shipped it in a roll, but I guess
yeah,
because it's leather, you can't really roll it.
yeah. I had no clue.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah. I haven't had really that many exciting loads, because food product too. It's like kind of.
Your products are important. And you taught me a lot that I did not know about corn syrup,
Yeah,
like that they use it in pesticides. I did not know that. I would have never thought that. But now that when you uplifted dextrose, I'm like, I do see that everywhere.
right.
Um,
They also use it in vitamins, pharmaceuticals.
yes,
hmm It's like a
yes,
binding agent, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now that I have definitely seen. I was checking as you were talking. I was checking my water bottle. Like, is there any dextrose in here? Is there some in the plastic? Where is it? Because I
I
know
know.
it's in there.
I'm sitting there seeing if and even like sugar-free stuff, you'll see like this sucralose. That's fake sugar, but I know I've been reading more labels too.
Yeah, I know. You find some fascinating things when you read labels. Like, there was a maybe it was a soda company. I believe it was a soda company. When I got into my label reading, they would put little like snarky phrases on their soda. I've been drinking this soda for a long time. We'll just say that. And I never noticed that until I read the labels. Now I knew that they did like custom labels, so no two bottles had the same label on them. And
Right.
that was part of their brand, but I didn't know that they had like little things that they would say to you. It was the cutest discovery. But we're gonna move away from that.
Okay.
So when you're on the road for these long haul, or when you're on over the road trips, I'm sorry because I don't want to say long haul because I'm learning you guys this language, so bear with me if I get it wrong. Offer
Okay.
me correction.
Okay.
When you go over the road for extended periods of time, how do you keep yourself entertained on the truck?
I listen to a lot of audiobooks,
Okay.
and also YouTube has this person called Let's Read, and they tell like ghost stories and scary stories, and I love that. And Sometimes you'll be driving down the road, you go into like backcountry roads, you'll some scary stories. It's like, is Jason going to jump out front of me? Is Freddie going to be there? And obviously you get to the ones where, the trees are going over, and I'm like, if I see a 67 Chevy Impala going the other way, I'm running.
Right.
Natural, they're coming. They're coming.
I understand. I understand.
Throw this all.
I understand. So have you ever had like a creepy supernatural moment while you're on your truck?
Sometimes what was weird, I'd be driving down the road and I don't smoke, and nobody smokes my truck, but I could smell certain times of the night somebody like the corner of my eye, like somebody was sitting there not smoking a cigarette. And I'd be like, that's the weirdest thing. I think that, plus when you're tired, mile markers start looking like people, but that's the one thing that you stick out in my mind was I could just out the corner of my eye and I'm like, nobody, but I could smell the cigarette smoke. And that was even one time when I got a brand new truck that nobody else had been in. It had like 20 miles when I got it. So it wasn't from the exhaust or, inside or anything. So that was the creepiest thing, I think.
That's interesting. I wonder what that is. No, I don't. No, I don't. Let me find my sage. We'll burn my sage after I'm done. To ward off whatever thought it was I was about to have in regard to that. Now, we're going to switch back to Real Women in Trucking because we've had our fun. You are the third person in your group that reads audiobooks. I talked to Rita yesterday, and she likes to read audiobooks, but she is a little bit different. She is like me. She's a lifelong learner. So she's always reading things that are teaching her something or doing, not audiobooks, I'm sorry, podcasts are what she does. And I just thought that was so, so cool. So I've learned that Jess does karaoke in the car, or in the truck. I'm sorry, not in the car, in the truck. I've learned so many interesting things about what you guys could possibly be doing in your trucks, and I find that fascinating. So I think that one night I'm going to go sit on a country road with my lights off and flash the truckers as they go by. And maybe it'll be one of those truckers who was listening to one of the scary stories, and it adds a little bit of, wait, that can't hurt anybody, right? Like there's nothing bad that can happen if I do that, as long as I'm like parked on the side of the road or something.
No, you're
okay. I had to think about that. Like this sounds really fun, but
stand on the shoulder in a white dress, the lady in white.
Ooh, I would love to do that, but for obvious reasons, I don't do dark highways in any clothes. Like if I have to be on a dark highway, like I hope that I have reflective something, because I will.
Yeah. I tell you, the funnest time I had was I go to Renaissance fairs, and I park close to some of them. So I go in the truck stop, take my shower, I go in looking like this, and I come out in my gowns and stuff, and people are like, "What in the world?" But I get some weird looks when I do that one.
Really? Wait a minute. You're into Renaissance fairs? Tell me what attracted you to that. I love that.
When I lived in Joplin, Missouri, I heard about, I always loved medieval stuff, fantasy things. Well, there was down at the castle in Muskogee, right down from the pilot, there's a Renaissance fair in May. I think it goes like a month long. And I went down there on my own with my family, and I got hooked. I ended up buying the garb, dressing up, everything, and started going to those. I haven't been for a while now because I've been really busy. But it's the looks you get when you go in looking like this, your shower bag come out with a Renaissance big old gown and the headpieces and your hair and everything. That's fun.
So you typically play royalty or nobility and ruling class?
Yes.
Ah,
I love
I like you. I am a bar wench kind of person. That's me. And then I always am fascinated by like the strong men and the artisans that show up at Ren fairs. Like I look, because I think we forget that there was a time before we had everything as easy as we have it now. So it's really fun to see things like ironwork happening, or I think I saw glass blowing once. I'd never seen that
I
in
love that.
person. It's amazing. So I like you now. I didn't not like you before, but I like you even more now because we have something in common. I am a nerd. I have never dressed up for a Renaissance fair, but I have been to a couple. And the only reason I don't dress up is because I can never like find anything that fits.
I
That's
haven't.
comfortable to walk around all day in the hot Alabama heat. So I'm
Oh,
like, let me just get shorts and tank top and let's just go. I can speak the language,
there you
and
go.
that gets me by. So I think that is so cool of you. Um, so usually I've actually asked you all of the questions that I have, but before I let you go, there is a thing that I think it is very important that I get to do, and I want to tell you thank you.
I appreciate
Not
it.
just for COVID,
Hmm.
but for every day since 94, you said.
Yes.
Since 1994 that you have gotten behind the wheel of a truck and been a cell in the lifeblood of America. I do not take for granted how important you are. I know that the working conditions aren't always the best, but as I'm interacting with you guys more and better understanding your needs, I'm committed to staying around to make sure that you get the things that you need so that your working conditions are better, so I can continue to go and buy expensive cheeses from the grocery store or get Amazon packages. Or I really, really like wigs, and they have to get to the store somehow. And I know they all come on container ships, and those containers have to be transported, and none of that can happen without you guys. So, um,
And we appreciate people like you also giving us the recognition, helping us, because if we don't work as a team, nothing gets done. So we appreciate
absolutely.
you also. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I am but a humble, little person. I hope to see you one day on the road, and you'll see me. I'll be doing this.
Okay.
I'm that grown up. I never outgrew that. I hope that no matter how old I get, I never outgrow that. And for anybody listening, that is a thing that people don't do anymore. We're not teaching our kids that. Um, and it makes truckers happy from what I've been told. So you could just teach your kids the universal pull the horn signal. I think that everybody I've spoken to will do it,
There you
and they
go.
want to do it. This has been my time with the wonderful, the lovely, the just incredibly surprising Miss Sonja Tucci. I've
Thank
been
you.
Gloria Hollins with Real Women in Trucking. Miss Sonja, have a great evening. One moment.
You too.